Speak to your coach as well. I can get him on the week after.
What kid they can you need to.
كل نفس ذائقة الموت.
Brothers and sisters, alhamdulillah, I'm still alive. But the reality is, كل نفس ذائقة الموت. Every single soul will taste of death. And what have we prepared for the hereafter? What have we prepared for the grave? Brothers and sisters, the work that IDC is doing will help you provide for your grave, for your akhirah, because they're calling loads and loads of people to the deen of Islam. They're looking after new Muslims, and they're doing that essential da'wah, which is an obligation upon every believer in the world, to make sure that they pass on the message of Islam. They're doing it on your behalf. All you have to do is give a donation. Give £100, seeking the face of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, 50. Whatever you can afford, as much or as little as you can afford, for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And all of those things that the good people that accept Islam do will be on your mizan, and when you meet the angels of death, the angel of death in your grave, those good deeds will be there with you too. So seek the face of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, give for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and yourself and your grave and your akhirah, and you'll have sadaqah jariyah there when you meet Allah.
أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Islam is the fastest growing religion in the world. It is the religion that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has chosen for us. And now it is our obligation, brothers and sisters, to share this message with others. The Islamic Diversity Center has been spreading this beautiful message of Islam through our educational workshops, through our exhibition and live events, and most importantly, we are there supporting those that accept Islam, supporting them through education, through social events, and even those that are in financial difficulty. Brothers and sisters, imagine you make a donation to support this work, and alhamdulillah, somebody accepts Islam. You will be getting reward for every single thing that they do, every salah that they pray, every dua that they make, every knowledge that they gain and that they pass on to their future generation. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will put those good deeds on your scales on the Day of Judgment. Subhanallah, this is an amazing opportunity. So brothers and sisters, I encourage you all to make a donation as much as you can so we can continue doing this amazing work. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Wallahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to The Late Show, another episode with your host Abu Tayeb and co-host Suhail. We are Assalamu alaikum. What's going on?
I'm chilling, alhamdulillah.
We had a good
It's been a
iftar.
long day. I'm not gonna lie, it's gonna be a long
It has been a long day.
No, it's been a really long day.
Yeah, it has been.
Good iftar, though, innit? It's good iftar. It's a long day though.
Alhamdulillah. Yeah, so continuing from last night's program and the week before, we've got in fact it was a good podcast last night with Sheikh Abdul Wahid Stevenson. I really enjoyed
to be
that.
honest with you, it's nice to have like a gem like him
Yeah,
to come in the studio for us and do a podcast.
he's doing some good work down in Brixton as well.
Amazing work. And I'm not gonna lie, I signed up for Medina College yesterday.
There you go. And if you haven't signed up to camera, bro. If you haven't signed up to Medina College yet, then sign up now. In
Why not?
Ramadan, you got a 50% discount for Ramadan.
Can't go wrong.
Yeah, and of course, this show is sponsored by Medina College, so we have to promote it. Go on to what's the website?
MedinaCollege.uk. Just go on there, seriously. And the course I'm doing is the Tajweed course on there. Oh yeah,
Mm.
and it's bro. Honestly, it's brilliant. Like the courses that they've got on there, £5 for this month, you can't go wrong.
Yeah.
And even if it's £10 a month, that's not bad at all.
You can't even get a kebab for £5 anymore.
So there you go.
Yeah, but how much people pay for Netflix?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Oh, Netflix to have £5.99 with adverts.
Exactly, right? You get a half price. You get it cheaper than Netflix for £5.
Yeah.
Come on, man. And this is
Yeah, no, I can't
beneficial knowledge, right?
Medina College.
So yeah, late show sponsored by Medina College. We had Sheikh Abdul Wahid, who's the founder of Medina College, on this show last night. So make sure that you guys go on there, take advantage of the discount and sign up. But today we've got another show. Alhamdulillah, we have another special guest, Brother Isa. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa
Thank you for coming on the show, my brother. We're going to have an interesting conversation because you're an interesting person. I find you very interesting. I find you very intriguing, especially your journey to Islam. And that's what we're going to be focused on today, right? But before that, let's start with your name.
Mm.
Your full name, right?
Isa
No, Isa's his revert name,
Yeah,
bro,
that's
yeah?
what I'm saying,
So that's his Muslim name.
Mm.
Prior to Isa, what's your full name?
So it's Asare, Anochie. Well, Asare Pierre, Anochie, sisters.
Okay. And what does that mean? Well, it must have a meaning to it, right?
Yeah. So Asare is like my family name. Asare Pierre is part of the family name. And Anochie is my surname, which is how I'm family for the longest. Then sisters is from the Latin, and it means is from sixtus, which has a meaning in Latin of polished.
Okay, nice.
So alhamdulillah.
Nice. Very unique name.
Mm.
MashaAllah.
Alhamdulillah.
Can you pronounce it?
Sorry,
Yeah.
Anochie, sisters.
Nearly.
Close.
It's a Pierre, bro.
Yeah.
Appear.
Appear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So not bad, actually. Not bad attempt there. Well done. Well done.
No.
Now, the interesting thing about you is, Brother Isa, you're a revert to Islam.
Mm.
So prior to being Muslim, what were you?
Funny enough, my name
Yeah.
is what I was before. So my dad named me after a pope and Sixtus, and that's where my name comes from. Sixtus. So it's like a Englification of the name, and so I was Christian, Catholic Christian, and yeah.
Okay. And you're not from UK.
No.
We were just talking about this earlier. Where were you born?
I was born in Italy,
Okay, where in Italy?
Udine, which is 4 hours away from Venice. 4 to 6 hours.
Is that pronounced? Is that spelled Udinese?
Yeah, Udinese is the
football
team, the football team. Yeah,
On the football team. Okay. And which football team did you support, bro, in Italy?
Inter Milan.
Yeah, man, that's my team right there. That's my Italian team from the night. Do you remember? In the 90s they used to
There
have.
used to be AC Milan and Inter Milan, right?
Yeah, they're the two big ones in Milan, right? But do you remember in the 90s they used to show Italian football on Channel 4?
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
Yeah. Old school.
Yeah, right.
When Gaza was around.
Yeah,
Gaza
actually,
played for Lazio, right?
he used to play for Lazio.
See, I know my thing. I don't know my stuff, bro.
Inter Milan. There used to be a
Old school.
very famous. I think he was Uruguayan actually, a footballer, Ruben Sosa. Remember him?
Oh, no.
Yeah, that's probably before your time. Before your time. What a striker!
Oh, my mic's off. My mic's off, apparently.
Yeah, come on, guys, get your mics on.
Your mic's on, bro.
What
Your mic's on. I can
I'm
hear
getting a message saying my mic's off. Anyway.
Yeah.
Sorry, carry on.
Yeah, R9, the original Ronaldo, the real Ronaldo, used to play for Inter as well.
Well, didn't you?
Sorry,
I don't know.
Ronaldo, bro.
Ronaldo.
R9, the real Ronaldo, and then Ronaldinho played for AC,
Yeah, that's what I remember.
right? But Ronaldo used to play for Inter.
Hmm.
Yeah, prior to Barcelona and places like that.
Listen,
Anyway.
never mind that, yeah.
Yes.
You're Italian, right?
Italian
So talk to me about Italian food here,
pizza.
right? Well, pizza.
Okay, first question is
Yeah.
pineapple on pizza. It's just wrong, isn't it? On so many levels. Tell me.
Like
Tell
what's
the
wrong,
people.
what's wrong with people, man? Like, what's the point? If you want something sweet, just
I
have
agree,
something
bro.
sweet. Like,
I
Yeah.
completely agree.
just have a cake at that point. Like, forget a pizza, just have a cake. Like,
Why do people do it, man? Like, people do their whole ham and pineapple, man.
It's deviancy, bro. It's
I
deviancy.
can't deal with it.
People want to be different.
I can't deal with it, bro.
Yeah.
There's a message, there's a comment
Yeah.
from Daniel who says, Daniel Del Piero.
Piero.
Del Piero.
Danny.
What's he
Go back
talking
away
about?
from it.
What's he talking about?
Footballer Del Piero.
Yeah, Del Piero.
Yeah, Del Piero's famous. I don't think his name was Danny Del Piero.
Okay,
Though.
I don't think it was Daniel. Yeah, it's Daniel.
Okay, so Italy. You were born and brought up in Italy until what age, bro?
Till I was 14.
And then what happened at 14? What's the situation? So you're born and brought in Italy. You speak the Italian language. You love your Italian food. You support Inter Milan. Then what happened?
I don't really support that. But anyway, yeah, but,
Okay, supported.
so, then so my family, obviously because the economical situation in Italy wasn't the best. So like we came here for a holiday and we had like family friends up here in Birmingham. And we went down for a couple, I think it was 2 weeks. We stayed with them. And yeah, it was fun. Like we really enjoyed like, the vibes. And me and my mom kind of was like to my dad, like, hey, we should move. We should move. And then obviously my dad was against it because everyone else we knew started moving to England.
Okay.
But like my dad was like, nah, we were good in Italy. But when we came, like me and mom really, really liked it, especially because mom, like her best friend was here. Yeah. So I was like, okay. And then we convinced my dad and we moved.
And you moved here
to Birmingham.
But before you moved, I mean, obviously we talked about your name. It's of Ghanaian roots.
Yeah.
So how did you guys end up in Italy in the first place? And what was it like being a person of color in Italy? That must have been not easy.
Yeah. So it was especially hard like for my dad. Because obviously when he moved because his brother moved to Italy. And then he moved to Italy. Obviously, and then he stayed with his brother
from Ghana to Italy, looking for work, economic migration, that sort of thing. Yeah, But why Italy? I mean, why did your dad's brother come to Italy? It's not usual, is it? Because normally you go to because Ghana wasn't a French colony, was it?
No, it was English.
It was British. So most people from British colonies go to Britain, or French colonization go to France, right? So you got Algerians, Moroccans going to France. The French-speaking African countries going to France, and the British colonized countries going to England. So why Italy?
Honestly, I don't know.
Okay,
all I know is that we was in Italy.
Fair enough. And what was it like growing up in Italy, man? Being a person of color like that.
So, like, obviously, the area I lived in was you got like multicultural. That's what it was. So obviously we don't face it as much racism as it is, which was very evident. Like it was clearly evident, especially like with the stories my dad would tell me. He would be walking down the street, and then old lady would see him make the sign across and cross the road.
Oh, really? Wow, it's like that.
Yeah.
Okay,
so like
for
me growing up, like I feel like maybe I just kind of like repressed it, so like I wouldn't be too affected by it.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things. Is like
he just dealt with it basically.
Yeah.
And then it must have been a big change coming from Italy to Birmingham. Then
it's the culture shock.
That's a big culture change.
Yeah, definitely.
Because the culture, I've been to Italy and a few times, and the culture is very different compared to here. I mean, you still have your European feel to it and some similar things, but the culture seems very different.
Like one of the things I liked was the reason I actually want to move because the uniforms. Like in Italy, you don't have uniforms.
Oh, you don't?
Yeah, you just go to school with your own clothes and everything.
Got it.
And then like came here just the uniforms, and I don't know, I just like the idea of like, I don't have to think about what I have to wear tomorrow. Like it's okay, I'm going to school and everyone's okay, everyone's the same. So like I just like that, especially because in Italy, where being a person of color, it's I already stand out. And now you want me to do extra, and then I was just too long. So when I came here, it's like everyone, it's basically all ethnic.
Yeah.
And you see few, Caucasians.
Yeah.
And so
especially in Birmingham, I guess, because Birmingham is very mixed anyway. So certain areas of Birmingham for sure. Which part of Birmingham were you living in, or are you living in?
Right now I'm living in Hansfield. So very mixed, like you barely see any Caucasians.
Okay. So it's very, very diverse, it's very mixed. Culturally very mixed, ethnically very mixed. That's Birmingham's not a nice place generally, but there are some good things about it, I suppose.
I mean,
like
that.
Well, there's no greenery, man. What are you talking about?
It's beautiful parks.
Yeah, that's true. There are some places. I'm only messing. But yeah, so Birmingham, grew up from 14, going through school, college, and then you ended up in Newcastle. How?
So playing basketball.
Yeah.
So from when I got to college, that's just going to a basketball academy.
Yeah.
And that's what just played basketball for 3 years. And obviously, a coach, like I kind of had, I had good seasons. And
Inshallah.
my coach knew the coach of Newcastle Uni.
Yeah.
So like, got connections. Said, okay, yeah, come to Newcastle. And that's on Newcastle.
So
You're an actual proper baller. You can ball, right?
Yeah.
Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah.
But so did you play for Newcastle Eagles or the university?
The university.
Okay. Any links to the Eagles?
Yeah.
Yeah. What was the situation with that then?
So like alhamdulillah, like the thing which I found, because
Yeah.
coming from an academy to uni,
Yeah.
it's like, the academy is fully focused on basketball.
Yeah.
So like you got 2 times a day practice, 5 times a day. Whereas the uni was like kind of laid back, and you've only got practice twice a day. I mean twice a week.
Right.
And
Okay.
then you get a game once a week, and it's UK basketball, so it makes sense. It's
Yeah,
not
yeah,
it's not
got
that
it.
serious.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah,
Not like America.
like America's full on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Makes sense. Okay, that's good. So let's talk a little bit about your journey to Islam then. So we've talked a little bit about your background. Tell me, how did you get introduced to Islam in the first place?
Subhanallah. So I've grew up around Muslims, but never actually got dawah. Like I never actually understood what Islam was. Or
Yeah,
what
because
was the message.
Birmingham, there's a huge Muslim population
Yeah,
there. So
yeah.
it's a big community,
Mm.
right?
Yeah.
And so you must have had some interactions with Muslims.
Yeah.
You must have had Muslim friends.
Mm.
And so what was the situation there? Is that how you got introduced to Islam?
Yeah.
Is that your first sort of introduction to it?
So my first introduction was a friend who I knew, kind of close to them, and like we talk about Islam, but we wouldn't talk about Islam, not the way I know it now. But
Yeah.
we'll talk about it like, oh, we have the same prophets, we have the same God, and obviously me being Christian at the time, especially my family being a practicing Christian family, like I would research on the Christian side so I could defend my Christianity and be able to defend and say, oh yeah, the Christianity is right because of this, and this, which made me like I didn't even search into Islam properly.
Mm.
And then moving to Newcastle after my first year towards May, the end of May, I remember like I wanted to get back into Christianity. I properly start like reading, and I started reading the Bible. And unfortunately, I went back to the prophets, started reading about the prophets and everything, and like the revelation, they felt like, oh, they start prophesizing, because in the Bible, like there's passages where it talks about, oh, and they start prophesizing, and then but it doesn't explain what it actually means, which got me really interested. And I remember I was playing COD Mobile on my phone, Call of Duty. And as I'm playing, a kid started reciting Surah Fatiha on the mic.
Surah Fatiha.
Surah
Start just
Fatiha.
reciting it.
Just
Just randomly.
Yeah, just randomly. Like, and I've said I don't know what it was. To me, it was just some Asian thing. Like, it sounds nice. And I'm thinking, like, he was saying throughout the whole match. This was like good 8 minutes.
So he was just reciting Surah Fatiha on repeat.
On repeat.
For 8 minutes through the whole match.
Yeah, subhanallah. And like, the whole time thinking, and when he stopped, I was like, oh, why did you stop? Because it was like, it's just soothing. That's what it was. And I remember my thought was like, oh, imagine being able to like listen to this every day. Like, imagine being able to, and I didn't know what it was. And then subhanallah, Allah works in mysterious way, man. Latif. And then I remember I was just like a couple of days after, I opened with the YouTube app. And the first short on the YouTube, it was like a beautiful recitation. I click on it, and it's the Surah Fatiha again.
It's Surah Fatiha.
Surah Fatiha, like,
wow.
And obviously, like,
that's your algorithms kicking.
Right. But it's kind of weird. It's strange because like I've never searched anything to do with Islam in the first place, especially at that time. And subhanallah, and I click on it and I start listening. I'm like, this is the same exact thing. And I go through the comments. And as I'm going through the comments, I see, okay, what's this? Because I'm trying to find out what it is so I can see the translation, the meaning. And I see it and I say, oh, it's Quran. So I won't go back to online, search up Fatiha.
Yeah.
And then Quran.com pops up. And I see the first, I click on Fatiha. See me all praise to the Lord of all worlds. And just there, at that moment, I was like, that just took me back. I was like, no way. And then I remember this was like 3 a.m. 3 a.m. on my laptop. Just going through and I started listening to Baqarah. And I was listening to Baqarah. I then get, again, like after the story of Adam, and Allah started talking about the punishment a little bit. After a little bit, like talks about the punishment of the hellfire and how like mankind would be like the rocks. So the hellfire would be filled by rocks and mankind.
Correct.
I would just start crying because just the truth in it, like it just hit. By the time I was like, nah. I rejected it. I closed my laptop, went back to sleep, and kind of like try to forget about it. And then I remember the friend which I was talking, who we were talking about debating, a couple of days there, like we haven't spoken for 3 years, and the friend calls me and say, "Oh yeah, how you been?" I said, "Oh yeah, I've read the Quran, by the way." And like
Right.
that friend gave me a Quran,
Yeah.
but I never read it. Like it was in
Okay.
my room collecting dust in a corner somewhere. And I told the friend, "Oh yeah, I read the Quran, by the way." And they were so excited. And I said, "I'll keep reading, keep reading, keep reading." And I said, "Okay, whatever." And I kept reading. And by the time I got to Ali Imran, that was it. Yeah, I was like, "There's no way."
So you were convinced
Yeah.
by the time you got to Al Imran.
Yeah, subhanAllah. Yeah.
Okay. And what convinced you? What was that sort of
Mm.
turning point, if you like? What was the
So I thought the
moment?
more concepts I was like going through is confirm the scriptures before, as Allah said, it confirms the scriptures before it, and that's what it's supposed to do. And is there like a Furqan is the criterion to say what's the truth from the wrong, and it made sense. Like it's worship Allah, worship Him alone. That's what
Yeah.
it says in the Bible, and you shall have no one except for me. That's the first commandment. You shall have no idols, no imagery, like no worship, just Him.
Mm.
And it just made sense. It connected the dots which were missing from Christianity, just connected the dots so clearly, simply. It was.
So you went from
Mm,
defending Catholicism,
yeah.
arguing with your Muslim friends,
mm,
defending your Christian position,
mm,
to playing a game
mm,
online, listening to Surah Fatiha,
yeah,
changing everything,
mm,
then going on to watching Quran recitation,
mm,
and then going on to reading the whole Quran,
mm.
and then it just clicked.
Just clicked. Yeah. The funny part is that in between that, there's this church group that reached out to me.
Mm.
They're not too far from me, actually. They reached out to me, and I was like, "Oh yeah," like, they had an event going on. It was like the event was about our common sins for like teenagers, especially in Newcastle, and they had a whole skit and everything. And I remember that during that session, the pastor, the priest, was like, "Oh, whoever wants to change their life, come forward." And just come forward to the altar. And normally, like, I'll never step forward.
Yeah.
And that day was something different. I don't know. I found something different,
Mm.
And I stepped forward, and he said, "Just start praying for whatever you want to be changed."
Yeah.
And I remember at that moment specifically, what all I wanted was to be forgiven. And one of the beautiful things which I could take from my dad, from what he told me, was like, once you ask for forgiveness, just be grateful because he has already forgiven you.
Yeah.
And I remember just being there, being grateful to, and at that moment it was just mukhlisin ad-deen to Allah and Him alone. And then that's all I remember. Just the contentment and feel like, and I know I am only like asking you for forgiveness, and it's only you that I'm seeking your forgiveness from. And I remember just being grateful for everything which He has taken me through in my life. Subhanallah. And I remember that night when I got back home. That's that's the night that I actually decided to accept Islam.
Okay.
Because after coming to the church, after being able to be grateful, I come back and I was like, remember, like I was listening to gospel music.
Okay.
Let's talk about surrendering.
Yeah.
Talking about surrender. And I, like, in my head, I'm like, I don't want to be a slave yet. And I had no idea.
Yeah.
But Allah makes it easy for whoever He wills. Just open my chest to Islam, really.
So when you were playing the game, this was in Newcastle when you heard Fatiha,
Mm.
when you were studying here in university, and and then you got just more and more convinced as time went on.
How long ago was this? Are we talking? How long ago are we talking?
So this was in early June last year.
Yeah.
Not long
And
ago.
then when did you, from that point, or that night when you said, "I'm convinced this is it,"
Yeah.
when from then to taking your shahada, when was that?
Same night.
The same night you took the shahada.
I remember I went to sujood.
Yeah.
This was like 3 p.m.
Okay.
So 3 p.m. I'm listening. I was like, okay, cool. When I went to sujood,
Yeah.
at the time I was like, bro, the Muslims do it. Like, what can be so bad about it? And I went to sujood, and it was just so clear. And I texted my friend from Birmingham. This was another friend from basketball who I haven't spoken for.
Muslim friend, yeah.
Muslim friend.
Got it.
Because the reason I texted him, because I remember him finishing the Quran, memorizing his.
Mashallah.
And I was like, okay, let me text him how to become Muslim. And obviously, because I text him on Snapchat, but obviously he doesn't use Snapchat at all. And so for some reason that day, at 11 p.m., he went on Snapchat and saw my message and texted me from back. I was like, "Is this for you? Like, are you sure? Like, what's happening?" It's like I didn't never text him before, and it's like obviously,
yeah.
And he got me on FaceTime and started talking. Then he started talking about the Prophet ﷺ.
Yeah.
And subhanAllah, like I was convinced because of the Quran.
Yeah.
I didn't even know about the Prophet ﷺ. and then he started telling me about obviously his splendid character.
Yeah.
He started talking about like there was something I was listening to today, and he said one of the things that gets non-Muslims about the Prophet's character sallallahu alaihi wasallam is how he treated his enemies and how he treated when other people are treated him badly. And I remember the story he
How
told
he
me.
responded.
Yeah, subhanallah. I remember the story he told me was about this woman who was insulting the Prophet. And he was walking with her, but she didn't know that it was him because obviously at the time there was no pictures to say, oh, what it looks like. And he's insulting him like and the whole time she's walking with him. And then like after he left, they told me, oh, that was the Prophet.
That's right.
That was him, and he didn't say nothing the whole time. Like that was one thing I was like, it really took me back on that time.
Yeah.
Then they told me he was illiterate. I was like, okay, so now you tell me this man made it up, yeah, and he's illiterate, bro. There's no way.
Yeah.
And then so I was already convinced, but that like increased my my conviction.
Yeah.
Then took the shahada on the phone.
Mashallah.
Yeah.
With your Muslim friend on the phone, took the
Mm.
shahada. I mean, I've heard of stories of where brothers have literally. I'll give you one example. On one of the estates, non-Muslim, similar background to yourself, and all he saw was somebody put up Surah Fatiha, just like the translation, on one of the notice boards, and he read it, and he said, "What is this?" Right, just Surah Fatiha, just the English translation, right? What is this? And he was like, "Let me find out what this is." And then the next time when he looked into it, he said, "Oh, this is from the Quran."
Yeah.
And then he read the Quran, I think by page 2 or something. He's like, "Nah, this is it. I'm Muslim now. I need to be this." After 2 pages.
Yeah.
Right. And he said, "This is it." After Surah Fatiha, that triggered it.
Yeah.
And then he started reading the Quran and he said, "Yeah, this is definitely the truth. I've got to be this." And then he literally took a shahada just from that. Obviously, he read the rest of the Quran.
Yeah.
But he was convinced from that point.
Yeah, the 2 pages are enough.
Yeah.
Especially when it tells you if you don't believe this is from like talking about the Bible a lot more. Like obviously, because growing up, my dad we used to every morning, every like evening before going to bed,
Yeah.
go through the gospel every night, just going through it, like explaining the verses, passages, and so like we always like got close to the Bible. But for like after a while, like we stopped for some reason, and obviously that was like mostly for my part because I don't know, like growing up, like you get a period where you like I don't believe there's a God.
Yeah.
Like, you get a period where you want to be free, you want to be all like
You want to push the boundaries. You want to test the waters.
And I push those boundaries.
You want to rebel. You want to. Yeah. I get it. I get it.
Like, obviously, I can distance myself from my family, but as I'm talking to him, we're talking about the Bible. We're talking about. So then I start talking about the Old Testament a lot more. Dad was like, What's happening? Like, what church you been going to? So I started telling him, oh, I went to a church and this and that.
Yeah.
So I'm like, what church you been going to? Like, why did you the Old Testament for? And obviously, because Christians see the Old Testament as the old rulings, and
Yeah.
there's the New Testament, and you know, throw the book behind the back, or whatever. Like, subhanAllah. And so, like, I started talking to him on the phone, and he's going like, oh, yeah, okay, like, be careful what church you go to, because some churches, this, and that. Okay, cool, whatever. And I remember, like, after Rebirth was like a week before I was going back home. Because I like I already finished my lessons and everything, so
Yeah.
a week before going back home. And as I got back home, I got off the coach. My dad picked me up, and we talk in the car. You know, telling me, yeah, how's Newcastle? Then I start talking about the Bible again, like, you know, asking him more questions.
Yeah.
And then I start talking about like the person of Jesus and
Yeah.
who he was, and why does my dad believe that he is, he is God.
Yeah.
And everything, and then I start questioning a little bit more in it, and like he sensed it in me, and he started connecting the dots. And I remember by the time we got home, we were on the driveway. He goes, "Are you Muslim?"
Nah, he just asked you straight up.
Straight up, like, "Are you Muslim?" And like I was like, I know at the time I should have been smart about it, and obviously, but Allah decreed it, so
Yeah.
like, it's alhamdulillah. And I just said, yeah. And he didn't want to deal with it at the time, so he's like, okay. We'll talk about it later. And obviously, he went to work, and later on the day, towards the night, my mom came back home, and he came back home, then called me to their room, and you know, said, let's talk about this. And
Okay.
that's what that does. Like, every time he speaks about something serious, like, I sit down. And it does never a good conversation. But,
Yeah.
So yeah, start talking about, like,
You know, the funny thing is, I do that with my kids as well. Let's sit down. Let's have a chat about this. God.
Yeah.
Subhanallah. And then so like he just started questioning. So blah blah blah. Like what happened? What's happening? And I said, I'm asking, so are you Muslim? And I go like, yeah. And like it was the first proper rebellion.
Okay.
Like, you know, they have, as a teenager, you have those tiny rebellions. Like,
Yeah.
Like, the time to do this, I want to do it.
Yeah. You push the boundaries a little bit,
but you're not really going for
but
it.
this is the big one.
Yeah, this is like breaking a heart rebellion. Like, I was
Yeah.
And honestly, if it wasn't for Allah strengthening my heart and making me strong, like, there's no way I would have done it by myself. Because
How are they with you now?
alhamdulillah, honestly, like, they see the character change.
Okay,
that's the thing about Islam, which is your character changes, who you are change, and now they're like, okay, we understand you're Muslim, and we understand, like, we can't change you who you are. We can't change the decision you made. So like, we're gonna be civil with you. That's what they are. They're just civil. You know, every now and then they get their little remarks, but
but the question I guess I was asking was, have they accepted it? That you're Muslim now?
Yeah,
and how long did it take for them to get over the initial sort of shock for them? Because he sat you down and said, right, let's talk about this. What's going on? What's happening? And then you would have just explained it and said, yeah, this is who I am now. And then I'm assuming they just rejected that first, and they got angry and upset and all the rest, all the emotions and everything. And then how long did it take for them to basically come around and say, well, actually, yeah, this is you now?
See, the David said it.
Okay.
But it's more like, we're not gonna talk about it anymore.
We're just okay.
You're just gonna be like, okay, this is so like what my dad did when he found out the first night. He took like the smart approach. He stopped the emotions.
Yeah.
He's talking logically.
Good.
It's okay. So this is your choice. My dad said he did what he had to do.
Yeah.
Me growing up and everything. And I made the choice on my own. So that's the choice I made, and that's what I chose for my life. He did what he did.
Yeah.
And so he couldn't change it.
Yeah.
And then my mom had obviously the mother reaction where she thinks obviously I'm going astray and everything. And yeah.
Do you ever get the one where they think you've been brainwashed or you're gonna go down an extreme path or something like that?
Is that what they thought? Is that what they were thinking?
Not extreme.
Because the reason why I think that's an interesting question is because in Ghana, Muslims and Christians generally get on really well, from what I understand. Yeah, it's similar in Nigeria as well. But Ghana, I think there doesn't seem to be that stigma attached to being Muslim and Christian and stuff like that, or is it?
That's the thing. It's subtle. Like,
right.
It's very you think it's not there.
Yeah, got it.
But it's there. We don't really like you people. Like, we think you people are below us.
Okay.
But we won't tell you because we trade with you. We have commerce. So I remember when I went to Ghana, and literally like every store you go to where they're selling food, they're selling meat, it's run by Muslim.
Got it.
Like I remember, like for breakfast, we go to this lady. Like she was right down by our house. We go downstairs, and she was a Muslim, and like the Muslims like are trusted in Ghana. That's the thing.
Okay,
But
mashallah.
because of who the people were before becoming Muslim, then they see it a bit less, and that's happening with every Muslim. Like even Allah talks about it in the Quran. Like every single time they say, oh, for example, no.
Yes.
How can we see all the people that follow you are those who are the lowest of us?
Yeah, meek and
Exactly.
yeah.
And that's something that strengthened me actually when I was finding out that about Ghana themselves. When my dad was telling me about it, the reaction my dad had was proving the Quran correctly.
Right.
The reaction my mom had was proving the Quran. Everything they were saying was just proving it. Like I was like I don't think they realized that actually strengthening my faith for me.
Yes,
so the whole time I was like that's what I'm saying. Like I'm happy how Allah decreed it.
Alhamdulillah.
Because if it wasn't for what I had to go through, coming to Newcastle would have been really, really hard.
Yeah.
As a Muslim, especially coming from what I did last year and who I was last year, coming out with a whole new personality. The people who knew me are like, who's this guy? Like would have never like worked if I didn't go through what I had to go through with my parents. And the thing I always say that to people is like, if my parents didn't treat me how they did, and I had to go through what obviously what they had to say and what I had to hear from them, then I would still care about what people think about me now.
Yeah.
Do you have siblings?
Not just me.
Just you. Oh, okay.
That's what's like amplified.
Because it's all the focus is on you. Yeah. Got it.
Oh.
Okay, that's interesting. So you got basically you're in Newcastle. You're in Newcastle University. Your parents. You mentioned something quite interesting about the manners and how they've noticed that change in you, because that is a form of dawah, albeit indirect form of dawah. It is still a form of dawah.
We have an interesting question actually. Have you given dawah to your parents?
Well, that's what I'm talking.
Yeah, there's a question on the.
Yeah, nice segue, Sahil. You know.
Well, I've got to do what the people want.
Well, let me finish my question, and then you can ask
I'm asking what the people want. I'm for the people.
I preempted the people, bro. This guy.
Go on.
What? Anyway, what was I talking about? I was talking about.
Well,
you mentioned something about.
You
mentioned something about manners, right? And how they noticed the change in your manners, and that's a form of dawah, albeit indirect. Have you given any direct dawah to them as well? Because obviously they're going to pick up that your manners have changed and you're a better person now. Because that's what Islam does. If people practice Islam correctly, there's no doubt. You know, people have to see the good, because Islam teaches righteousness and being good and fulfilling the rights of the people who have rights over you, like your parents and your siblings and your neighbors and your children and so on and so forth. And ultimately, that your whole life is governed by fulfilling the rights of Allah and worshipping Allah correctly, because that's what we do everything after that. So coming to the question that Sahil mentioned, linking it to there, it's have you given them any direct dawah apart from the indirect, showing the beautiful manners and things?
So that comes from my dad taking the logical way,
taking
the mental way, like approaching it from okay, let's sit down, let's talk about this, let's go through the Bible, let's go through the Quran, and then my dad started asking questions about Islam. So if Islam's so perfect, why this?
Okay.
But like the points he used to come with was all the the typical Muslim points, the typical like anti-Islam points, which you find on YouTube or like Google.
And the cultural stuff and the Muslims who aren't practicing Islam but their culture, or non-practicing Muslims doing stuff that they should or should not be doing. I guess they were the things that he was coming up with.
So every time he had a question, also at the time, like I'm a new Muslim at that point, and I feel like there's something I did a mistake in, because it's the nature of the way me and my dad talk. Like that it's something that I couldn't take out at that moment, but I wish I was a lot more chilled back. I was a lot more taken back, because obviously Allah tells us when you debate with Christians, do that which is best. And at that time, I don't think I read that ayah yet.
Okay, got it.
So like it was a very, very like animated, very activated. So like I don't feel like I was very fruitful, but it showed me something about who my dad is and what his values are, how he sees the world. Which is, like you get a lot. But then from my mom's side instead, like I talking to my mom, I was like, she's a Muslim, but what is my dad did it, so and I understood, like, and it's one of the things where only Allah can guide, and at that point,
of course, and your dua is important here, and sincere dua is what's required. One of the things that we do here at the organization is when people become Muslim, we offer for their non-Muslim parents or family to come and spend some time with us, maybe take them out for dinner, invite them to the center. And so that if they've got any questions, like you said, you're a new Muslim, you don't know the answer to all the questions that they're going to ask. especially a lot of the doubts and stuff like that people put out there. So we say, look, we'll invite them, we'll talk to them as well. We'll make them feel comfortable. We'll show them what true Islam is through our manners. We'll answer their questions that they have, and more importantly, allay any fears that they have.
Yeah.
That, oh, my son or my daughter is going to become an extremist, or they're going down the wrong path and they're going to go and do something stupid, or they're going to be oppressed, or whatever it is, the stuff that is pushed out there. So our job is we want to get them here to show them the true Islam and allay any fears that they have, and let them know their child is in good hands. We're only going to teach authentic Islam here. We're only going to help them have a safe journey through their Islam and their journey through
I
Islam.
think there's something else to it as well, which I think it's you're too close. You're being because a lot of the times, and it happens with all of us, right? When I first started practicing Islam, my close friends, I was too close, like, because you have that zeal and that passion for the deen, which you do, and you're gonna have, like, you just want everyone to accept it. But sometimes it's not just the passion and the zeal that you need. It's like the hikmah that comes with it, the wisdom that comes with it. You're like, you're ready to like cut the silk ties that they've got, all that kind of stuff. It's literally cutting ties, but it's not the actual ties. It's like physical, like silk ties, because men don't wear silk ties anymore, right? So like you're cutting ties in that sense.
That overzealousness.
It is an overzealousness, and I think it's because you want.
But it comes from a good place, though. That's the point.
Of course it does. It's because we are close, though. We're
because
you
want good
to that person.
Yeah,
you just want good for that person, which I think sometimes where the zeal for it can sometimes be a bit of a barrier as well. Which I think we all learn, and I think it actually to be honest with you, it probably is it's part of the learning curve as you do go through your journey in Islam. And like I said, not just like as a new Muslim, but someone who's practicing as a new Muslim as well. I think we all kind of go through that whole thing. And wanting to do it the right way and having that level of hikmah, because you got to realize as well, it's like they didn't have that before. It's like you didn't have that before. So what happens if someone came to you and started talking to you about something? Like, let's just say, I don't know, let's Hinduism, right? If someone was talking to you, they've just accepted Hinduism and they're passionate about Hinduism, and the way they talk to you about it, the way they tell you about it, and you're just like, I don't want to know about this. And you're probably going to get that same kind of feeling and same kind of wall that goes up like everyone else would have. And I think that's the case.
Yeah. So I guess you're still giving your parents dawah then. It's still at that stage.
So it's, now it's more like a hikmah wise dawah.
You have to.
Good.
Good.
Like every now and then, like I remember the couple of times bro, like look man, because like I was telling my dad about the wisdom Quran. So then I tell my dad about like you know about look man, like there's a story in the Quran. About your advice in his song, and then. And obviously, like the ihsan to your parents, I was telling my dad about it as well. Like, like what do you think about that? And then every time like we get too high, we straight away from the point. I'm like, okay, it's okay. Like you don't have to. Like it's okay.
Yeah,
it's okay. Like, let's get back to how's it day.
So, are they open to even reading the Quran or not yet?
So that's the thing. My dad reads the Quran.
Oh, he does.
But he reads it the way Christians do it.
Got it.
Okay. I take a verse from here. I want to read the verses before, but when you read my Bible, we got to take all the whole
in context. Yeah, got it.
So that's how he reads it. But.
Right. No, inshallah, may Allah guide them and keep at it. Your mannerisms, your patience, your du'a, these are all important factors. And if you want us to speak to them, if they ever come to Newcastle, they're more than welcome to come here and spend some time with us as well. And hopefully, maybe we can get through to them on some things as well, especially removing those misconceptions. I think that's important. Okay, what about, we asked this question last night's podcast. Why Islam? Why Islam for you specifically? Somebody asks you the question, maybe your parents, your family members, other people, your friends. They say, well, you got so many religions. You already practice in Christianity. Why Islam? Why leave that for Islam? What would you say to them?
That's what my dad asked me. And the first reaction I said, it's the truth.
Okay.
And he said, what, so you don't want to be saved? I was like, it's the truth. If the truth's gonna save me, right? It's the truth.
Yeah.
But then from a second point of view, it's from one thing my coach used to say from basketball was learn to be abnormal in an abnormal world.
Okay.
Learn to be abnormal
in an abnormal world.
In an abnormal world. Okay, interesting.
And Islam, when I went through it, like obviously reading through the Quran and everything, it's always the belief is always the few number,
Yeah.
always the ones who are seen as strange. As the Prophet ﷺ said,
Yes.
Islam started strange
And it
will
will
end
return.
strangely. So glad tidings to those who are strange.
Mashallah.
So,
Yeah, man.
So that's one of the things that I feel like it was embedded in me, like
Mm.
you know. But when the truth came to me, I was like, okay, like I couldn't reject it. So
those principles that you had from before played a part then in that case. Okay, so what about in terms of what changed after you became Muslim? How did it change your life? How did it impact you?
So it's the discipline. That's one thing that I've really admired about Muslims.
Yeah.
The discipline of the Salah 5 times a day.
Yeah,
No
alhamdulillah.
matter your work, you're in school, what you're doing. I need to pray. That's it. Like, and that's one of the things I was like, you're doing it 5 times a day.
Yeah.
I remember when I was a Christian, like obviously as a Christian, you have those times of Iman,
Yeah.
where you have those highs and you're like, oh, I'm reading the Bible, I'm really getting into it. But a month later, you're not as high as you used to be. Like you just gone back to whatever you used to do. But Islam, because of the Salah, you're always consistent.
Yeah, subhanAllah.
You're always constant. And you're always like remembering Allah. So that's what the Salah does. That's one of the things I was like, I've never been on a high Iman for this long before.
Alhamdulillah.
And like it's constant. Like you're always reminded of, okay, I have a Lord, I have someone who's watching me, I have someone who's gonna take into account. I'm gonna be taking into account for every single thing I do. And he cares the most for me. He's the one who actually wants me to be to call him. He's the one who wants me to be remembered.
How's it been for you now as a Muslim?
Yeah.
At your university as well then?
So
like you have a good community of Muslims around.
Yeah. So ISOC, that's where.
Well, yeah. Before you get to the ISOC, I was going to say to you, you talked about discipline, why Islam gives you discipline, right? And it's interesting because there's been a lot of athletes and celebrities recently, in recent years, who have taken their shahada and become Muslim. Yeah, Alex Pereira's, your Royce Gracie's, that female MMA fighter, UFC fighter recently. Little John, even rappers, right? They've started to RZA from Wu-Tang, Little John, and people like that. They're one of the reasons, especially the athletes from that group of people that I mentioned, and I've noticed there's a lot more that haven't come out as being Muslim but are Muslim, who have said a similar thing. It's the discipline that Islam has, and as an athlete yourself, you know the discipline that's required to be an athlete, right? To play basketball, the regime, the training, the exercise, and so on and so forth. I think there's a lot. That's interesting that you said that, because I think there's a lot more people from mixed martial arts, especially in the martial arts world, who are going to come to Islam because of that thing that they can relate to in terms of discipline and so on and so what Islam brings, the preservation of the truth as well. I think there might be something there. There's that famous basketball player we were talking about earlier,
KHAIR.
Yeah, he's fasting and he's playing, and he's still playing professional basketball, right? And he's very convicted and firm upon his Islam. He's open about it. There's that boxer as well, Tank. What's his name? Gervonta Davis. Yeah, even he recently took his shahada. But yeah, even that basketball player, and he's not shy to talk about it in interviews. He will talk about Ramadan and fasting and being a Muslim and Islam.
I think that's become normalized. I think a lot more people are no longer shy to talk about their Islamic faith.
Yeah.
Well,
celebrities I'm talking about.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Talking about celebrities, I think a lot of them now, it's become normalized to talk about the fact that they have this faith, they have this religion, and they continue to...
Because a lot of reverts still don't feel comfortable coming out about their Islam when they first take their shahada. So this is the interesting thing. Reverts find it a bit more difficult, and they say, I'm not going to tell my parents yet, I'm not going to tell my family yet, or whatever. But then it comes to celebrities, they seem to be quite open about it, and they don't mind sharing those when they get recorded doing their shahadas and stuff like that.
I do feel like it's the presence as well. Like they know they have an impact on people.
Yeah.
When you become a Muslim, you know what presence and impact means for your good deeds. Like obviously you feel more impelled to actually say it, to be open about it.
Yeah.
So I feel like once they get over the family hurdle, then the rest is just,
Yeah, that's true. I think so. So come back to the point. What's changed since you've been Muslim? How's it affected your life?
I was going back to the discipline. Is obviously the thing was coming from basketball, so from the academy.
Yeah.
Twice a day, 5 times a week. I had that schedule, the discipline. Then coming to Newcastle as a uni student, basketball's only twice a week. and you got a game once a week, once a day, whatever. And it's like it's a chaotic style.
Yeah.
Now whoever I'm around is is the Newcastle lifestyle. So I got no focus. I got no point where I can go back to. Now with Islam, what I found this year was I know who I am, because for the longest I'm like, who am I? For the longest you're searching for who you are, what does it mean to be, who are you really and truly? And then, but now I found myself. I read this one time, like once you find Islam, you find your true self. Like your best self is when you're close to Allah.
Yeah.
Deep.
And we know this because there's a narration: the best of you in Jahiliyyah, the best of you in Islam. So there's something there as well, which links to that. And I think that's a very interesting point. So in terms of, do you still play basketball? Are you still online gaming? Are you still doing the things that you did before?
NBA, bro, is what we're really trying to do. We're getting to the NBA, man. How good are we at basketball?
I'll be your agent, bro.
Yeah.
I'll take the 10%.
I'll be your
but
hype man, bro. I'll just be the hype man, man.
So like just before Islam,
Yeah.
like I started losing interest in basketball.
I started losing interest in it
because of that the reduction in practice times.
Oh, subhanAllah.
Yeah. So then the uni lifestyle and everything.
Yeah.
So what kept me interested was I had something to go back to.
Right.
Something to always, like, I know if anything falls out, I can go play basketball. If anything falls out, I got some pain to go through, because that's what basketball was for me for the longest, just pain. And then
really,
yeah, because that's what it is, bro. Like half of training, you're just going through pain, and you just learn how to deal with the pain.
Oh,
and then the next training session, you're better at that same pain. So therefore, you keep challenging yourself. And
that's interesting, bro.
But and then you get that, like, training and reward ratio. So because you work so hard, once you become successful, it's like, oh, I know why, and I worked so hard for it, and now I can enjoy it.
Right.
And that's the thing. But then when I came here, it was like you're barely training, and obviously when you get games, there's a lot of politics in basketball and whatsoever.
Okay,
so towards the end of the year, I was like, yeah, I'm done with this.
I remember hearing, I think it was Muhammad Ali said that as well about training. He used to hate it.
Yeah.
I used to hate training. But he said, if I don't do this now, I know I'll not become champion.
Yeah.
So he used to put himself through it because of that as well. And then you look at Kobe Bryant as well. Kobe Bryant was very famous when it came to like training. I remember there was a story about Kobe, right, where he basically he would tell one of his teammate or opposition or one of his teammates, I can't remember which one it was, but he'd be like, the other guy was going, I'm going to training. Season's finished. He's like, I'm going to training. He's like, season's finished. Why are you doing training? What's the point? Like, and the guy was like, good point. I shouldn't be bothered training, right? So he wouldn't be training. And then he would go upstairs, get changed, and he'd be on his way down, and he'd see like Kobe in the gym, like doing his training, and he's like, this guy told me not to, and he's actually doing it. But that was his mindset, was, now I'm going to do just as much, or if not more, than everyone else. So he would train like 4 times a day.
No one's going to outwork Kobe.
No one's outworking him, right? And he's like, I'm doing it 4 days. Everyone else goes for 2 days. So I'm already 2 training levels up, or 10 sessions up on every person about every day. And the more and more I get, it's like crazy, man.
Yeah, alhamdulillah. But yeah, I think Mike Tyson said something similar as well about discipline over raw talent.
Yeah.
And discipline is how you're going to become a champion, basically. But yeah, this is interesting. So you lost interest in basketball. You're here studying computer science.
Yeah.
How are you finding that, bro?
So I'll say a lot, much easier than I did in the first year.
Yeah.
And that comes to Islam, literally straight down to Islam. Because now I know between my salah, I got this time, and I better not waste that time. And Allah puts barak in the time when you face Allah and you turn towards Him. And like, I remember, like, every time I got my assignments, I was like, okay, let me finish the assignments early. So I finished my assignments 2 weeks before it's due. And then for the rest, I can just focus on Quran, like memorizing, or like going through Quran. So like, that's my things I've always found. For first, I was kind of like, I wasn't struggling, but I was doing all right, but I was always like stressed. I was like, I got exams at this, I'm stressed. And I'm like, bro, whenever I'm stressed, I'm like, why are you stressed for? You got love on the side, bro. Like, chill out.
Yeah, man. And I know you're at Newcastle University, so the ISOC there is brilliant. It's a big one of the good things about the ISOC is you get your community. You get integrated into the community very well. You're volunteering there now, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm part of the committee.
Part of the committee, mashallah. What's your official position, bro?
Technical officer.
Nice.
Yeah,
that's the computer science bit comes in.
Yeah, what does that mean now? I was gonna ask, what is technical officer, bro?
Finally, alhamdulillah. For me, bro.
Were you technical officer?
See, you've been surprised.
You can be webmaster, bro.
Now you
Bro, let him graduate first, yeah? Once he graduates...
see, but you'd be surprised. It's not what you think it is.
I know how you feel, bro.
Yeah.
Anything goes wrong, they call me, bro.
Yeah, anything to do with IT,
This
it's all
shit that's
Jazzy.
happens, but like obviously I'm in charge of like the masjid.
Okay,
and,
mashallah.
and like taking care of like if there's anything if there's anything wrong, you know.
Let the guy graduate first, bro. Come on, Jazzy.
Well, I want to
Relax.
ask you, to be honest with you, I want to ask
Yeah.
you, what's the long-term plan? Like,
Long-term
what
plan.
for you, like, after you've done your
Yeah,
computer
what's
science,
changed? Again, jumping the gun. It's one of my questions. Thank you, Sahil. Yeah.
What is this,
Thank
man?
you, producer Sab. Right, just sit there and produce, yeah?
I don't
For the
know.
people.
Okay, while we're doing that, is there any... Let's
Yes, there are
let's do
comments.
your actual job,
Let's do it.
job, which is checking the comments and questions, right?
Daniel Johnson, earlier he said Daniel Del Piero was talking about footballers. He basically replies,
Daddy knows nothing
I
about
thought there
football.
wasn't a famous Italian player called Daniel Del Piero. I was just trying to join in, to be honest. LOL.
This guy lives in the 90s, bro. He's not moved on.
But it's not that. He knows nothing about football, and it's amazing that he actually got the Del Piero bit right. Danny, you got the Del
No,
Piero
but he
bit right.
does
I'll
that,
give you that.
He actually does live in the 90s. He does like know all like 90s.
Yes, to be fair, so do I. But okay, carry on.
Another one is from Mox Factor, who says, "Love the show, brothers. Keep it up."
Mashallah. Any other comments or questions?
Oh, just comments that came before. So good. We've kind of
Moved on from it. Okay, where were we at? So ISOC. So you've got you're volunteering there. You're doing you're helping with the iftars and stuff. Yeah. And you're on the committee. How are you finding that?
Alhamdulillah. ISOC is my it's my first home.
Yeah. Got
Like it's where obviously that's how the Muslims are.
it.
And that's what I say is always like you find your best friend, because after Rebirth, like all my friends I had before, I kind of took a step back.
Yeah.
And you cut those ties because they're not healthy for you, they're not healthy for your deen, they're not healthy for your man.
Yeah.
So then Allah doesn't take anything away from you except that He gives you that which is better. And the people I'm like Allah surrounded me with, subhanallah, like
good brothers, mashallah.
Good brothers, man. Honestly,
Alhamdulillah.
subhanallah.
Good, solid brothers, mashallah.
Yeah. So always
Good.
pushing it towards KHAIR, and always
Yeah.
like keeping in check as well. Like oh, he's doing this, I need to step up my game. Like
Yeah.
You're
That
second
good
year, right?
competitive
Yeah,
sense.
second year, yeah.
So third year, you president, yeah?
Well,
Bro, I'm always
yeah,
looking,
promotion,
I'm
technical
always
officer.
looking because I work very closely with the Islamic
Yeah.
Society, especially in Newcastle. Alhamdulillah.
Yeah.
Newcastle's as ISOC for me is very special to me
Yeah.
because I used to go to Newcastle University. I did my master's at Newcastle University,
Mashallah.
but since then, I was like 2011. But since then, even before that as well, we've been very close.
Yeah, we've
affiliated
worked with
with
Newcastle ISOC for years, right? And then as an organization, I'm talking even before IDC was, we used to pray there in the 90s in Newcastle University ISOC. And then when when we set up IDC in 2002, end of 2002, we still worked with them because we used to do the khutbahs there. So I used to be the khatib. Sahil was the khatib there. So I think you still are.
I haven't done khutbah for a while.
Okay, fair enough. Well, you should be doing them, but we were doing. So we were there doing the khutbahs on rotation and stuff.
Yeah.
And then when IDC, the Dawah Center, set up, we were very closely involved with. We continued being involved with, especially the DIW, the Discover Islam Week, the marquees and all the rest of it. And we help with providing Dawah training and other types of support that they need, because as you know, the committees change every year. Students come and they go. We're in the community where that sort of stable constant, if you like.
That's what I'm saying.
And Sahil, as part of IDC, is our liaison officer from IDC to Newcastle University and the ISOC, especially because he's an alumni, right?
I am an alumni.
You are indeed. I was going to say you're Illuminati, but that'd be the wrong word.
Whoa.
You know, an alumni. So he's like old school.
Yeah, alhamdulillah. So I mean, look, it's very close to me. And like every year when we do Discover Islam Week, Discover Islam Week's a big. I think it's probably one of the biggest events in Newcastle. You haven't experienced it before?
In the northeast, I would even argue.
It's coming up soon. So I've just had a message from Brother Hashim for the Dawah training. So inshallah, we'll be doing the Dawah training. Once we've done the Dawah training, obviously I'm going to support and help out in Discover Islam Week as well, inshallah.
When is Discover Islam Week, by the way?
I can't remember. I think it's
end of April.
Well, that's the technical officer.
Technical officer. When is Discover Islam Week, bro?
After Easter.
There you go.
I think
after the Easter holidays,
It's coming up soon. I think it's either May. Imagine it.
It's in May. It's in
Yeah.
May.
Do you remember those times when we used to have to sleep in the tent?
Yeah.
Bro,
Because we
they
had
were
to
good
guard the
times, bro.
tent.
I'm telling, bro, they were
We
good
were the
times,
24
man.
hour security.
Right? Yeah. So when we do the Discover Islam Week, I'm always at the end of it. Alhamdulillah, always I get close to the committee because of
Yeah.
Discover Islam Week.
Mhm.
But normally, even before that, I'm quite close with a lot of the brothers of every year. It's a succession. But normally after every Discover Islam Week, I always ask, right, what's the plan for next year? Who we got?
Yeah.
Who we got as the key committee members that are going
Who
to
are
take
gonna
it
step
forward
up.
and move forward and take this Islamic society to another level? Because like 2011, 2012 was the era of our beloved brother Abdulaziz.
Sheikh
Al-Sharif,
Abdulaziz, man.
Sheikh Abdulaziz. And like for me,
He's like my best friend, man.
for
He's
me,
brilliant.
that's when the ISOC went to another
Level for
It
sure.
really did.
He was the president of the ISOC and he took it to another level. MashaAllah.
They had some fitna as well, right?
Yeah, we're not going to talk about that, Jazzy. We're not going to talk about that right now.
He kept it on track, right?
Yeah, bro, bro, honestly,
You know why I love Sheikh Abdulaziz Al-Sharida, right? Because he comes from a position of knowledge. It's not just like your random dude who's running the ISOC. This guy has got knowledge. He's got hikmah. He knows how to deal with people. He knows when to be stern and direct. He knows when to be soft and gentle. He knows how to deal with the fitna, like Ajaz was talking about. He knew how to handle things without compromising as well. And that's one thing I loved about when he was president of ISOC. It opened things up to another level, in my opinion. I agree with you, Sonny. I agree with you on that.
Completely agree.
I remember when the extremist agenda was out there, it closed down every single ISOC in the UK.
Yeah,
And Newcastle ISOC was under it. And Russia, that brother kept it open.
of course, man. Big up
Yeah,
Abdulaziz,
we've had some real events, I would say, in the ISOC over the years, alhamdulillah. But it's been good experiences and like long may it continue. Our support is always there because like I say, it is even for all the Islamic societies in the Northeast. We want to work very closely with them. We do work closely with a lot of them because like my degree was in Northumbria, my PGC was in Sunderland, my master's was in Newcastle. Durham I haven't done yet. PhD, no, I'm not doing
PhD in Durham, bro. It's
No,
gotta be.
allow
It's
it,
gotta
allow
be,
it.
man.
No, allow it.
Honestly,
But you
it's
went
gotta
to Sunderland
be.
University as well.
I
So
went to
like,
Sunderland Uni,
we're affiliated within the community as well. So with all the Islamic societies. So big up all the Islamic societies.
Yeah, man, you did the right thing. You stepped up, got involved in the
Yeah, man,
committee, inshallah.
definitely.
Just may Allah preserve you for that.
I mean,
And you've also started volunteering for IDC as well recently. So what are you going to be doing with IDC, bro? What's the
technical
plan?
officer, isn't it?
Apart from managing all our IT and stuff when you graduate, what else are you going to be doing at IDC?
Hoping to get into support, like new Muslim support.
Yeah, new Muslim support as a
Yeah.
mentor.
As a mentor, definitely.
Yeah, so because you've been through it, you're a revert yourself. You're going to be mentoring. You're going to be helping the new Muslims through their journey.
Inshallah.
Inshallah, the more knowledge you get, the more you'll get involved.
Inshallah.
It'll be good. I'm looking forward to it.
There's a really good comment here
Go on.
from Ayub who says, "This is my favorite revert story so far from the brother's side. Allah Mubarak.
MashaAllah.
May Allah keep you steadfast. Ameen. Maybe the long-term goal could be to join Medina College.
Of course, big
Well,
up Medina
listen,
College. Yeah,
I
it's
don't-
we're sponsored by Medina
Medina
College, you know.
College indeed, but Medina University as well. Bro. Let's, like,
Even Medina University, why not? Why not?
Exactly,
May
why
Allah-
not, you know?
My dua is may Allah give you what's best for you in
Ameen.
this life and the akhirah, right? So, inshallah, may Allah give you a good pathway to
Ameen.
better you as a believer.
Absolutely.
You know, so
And
that's
to benefit others because
and the ummah,
it's all about the strong believer is the one who benefits others.
you know when I first met Isa, yeah, there was something that I knew he's gonna do something in dawah,
Inshallah,
man. He's got something in him, inshallah. I know it. Allahumma barik. Okay, good. So now you're part of IDC. You're volunteering with us. You're going to be helping the new Muslims going forward, inshallah. We've got a new shahada I'm going to pair you up with, actually. We've got a new Muslim that's just recently joined us. But what about just generally? What's your long-term goals and ambitions? What's the plan
That's
in
something
life, you know, just generally?
That's something I'm struggling with. Because
Yeah, why are you struggling with that?
Because obviously, like before I became Muslim, like all I had was, okay, I got basketball, I got MBA. If that don't work, I got computer science. I got Google, Facebook, all that out there. Like chase the money.
Yeah.
But then I found Islam and I found the truth, and I was like,
Yeah.
for example, like one of the things I love about the Quran, like my favorite surah,
Yeah.
is Surah Ikhlas.
Yeah.
Qul huwa Allahu ahad, and Well, one of the things is that ikhlas means akhlasa, which it comes from akhlasa, which is to purify, and it purifies everything of a person, their heart, intention, everything. And once you realize the truth that you're gonna meet Allah, you're gonna meet your master, you're gonna meet your sustainer.
Yeah.
Everything just pales in comparison.
Yeah.
And that's
true.
happened to me. Like my whole hopes, aspirations with this world just faded away.
Mm.
And I'm like, I still need to live. Like I still need to
course.
eventually look after the family, inshallah.
Yeah.
And I still need to make enough money to, like, to have a good life for my
Of course,
family.
of course.
But
And there's
Yeah.
nothing wrong with being wealthy. In fact, it's encouraged, I would argue, to be a wealthy Muslim. The reason why is because you've got so many examples. Allah tells you in the Quran, He links salah with charity, making salah and giving charity. You can't give charity unless you have wealth, bro. It talks about being a provider for your family. Well, you can't provide for your family unless you have wealth. And obviously we know our risk is fixed, so we're going to get what we're going to get, right? Because I used to have the same mindset, and it's a mistake actually to think that when you start becoming Muslim or practicing Islam that you have to be poor, because there are some narrations that talk about the poor, and some narrations talk about the wealthy in a negative way, and some narrations talk about the poor in a positive way, or it's perceived as a positive way. But that's not, when you look at it, when you sit with the scholars, that's not what it means necessarily in all circumstances. We still have to, as men, especially as Muslim men, we still have to provide and protect. We still have to go out there and work. We still have to go out there and, how do you think, and this is what we struggle with every year, think about this as an organization. We can do all the best dawah work that we want. We've got the right people in the right places and the right programs and the right activities. But in this day and age, unfortunately, I have to say this, you need the money to power that, right? And this is what we struggle with every year. We're literally begging for donations because we struggle with funding. If I had my way, if I was a billionaire or a millionaire, just fund the whole thing myself.
Yeah, for real.
I wouldn't be going around begging people for money, and unless they really genuinely wanted to give and get the rewards. But I want all the rewards for myself, right? So I'd fund it all myself, right? The whole organization and take over the whole dawah scene. Unfortunately, I'm not wealthy like that. And it was it's because your risk is fixed at the end of the day. But it's the mindset that I'm talking about. You should still have lofty goals and ambitions in life, as well as for your deen, because they're both interconnected. And I remember Sheikh McCarthy did this. We brought him to do a tour of the Northeast and do a talk, and it was called The Best of Both Worlds. And he used a narration of the Prophet ﷺ to talk about how you can get the best of both worlds and how you should aspire to get the best of both worlds. The best of this dunya, the best, having the best house, the best transport. In them days, it was the red camels. Having the best wife, having the best, he talked about this is our aspirations in the dunya. And the biggest aspiration is the akhirah, to get Jannah. So doing the things spiritually and what Allah has asked us to do, understanding Tawheed, staying away from shirk, being righteous, doing righteous deeds, because Allah links together Iman and righteous deeds together always when you read the Quran. So you've got it's not as simplistic and black as white as I'm going to leave the dunya and just focus on the deen. You got to find the balance between both. That's the conclusion that I've come to.
I was going to say as well, there's a hadith, and it was something that you alluded to earlier, what we were talking about earlier as well, about being a benefit to people as well, like the goal as well. So there's a hadith of the Prophet ﷺ who said the most beloved to people, the most beloved people to Allah are those who are most beneficial to people.
Yeah.
The most beloved deed to Allah is to make a Muslim happy, or to remove one of his troubles, or forgive his debt, or feed his hunger.
Yeah.
So it's like that's the goal, is like when it comes to like what we should aspire to be like is to be benefit to the people.
And the caveat is you do it in a halal way.
Yeah.
So you get your rizq, you go and work, you try to be wealthy, you get have those lofty aspirations, but you do it in a halal way, because you make your halal income, you have more blessings in that, more barakah in that, and then you're able to use that in a halal way, in a good way, to benefit, like Sahil said, benefit people, benefit organizations, benefit the dawah, because the dawah needs support, right? And so this is, and I'll tell you what, may Allah bless, I'm not going to mention their names, but there's some very wealthy donors who support, not just have support our organization, but other organizations, bigger organizations like KHAIR. And honestly, some of these uncles are like multi-millionaires. They're businesses, all halal business. You know, textiles industry, other industries which are halal, and they're worth like 30, 40, 50 million pounds, and even more in some cases. And they just say, right, here's 50 grand.
Yeah.
That'll keep you going for a while. Or you're distributing Qur'ans. Let me pay for the whole container. Right? That's how we want to be. So that's why having those goals and aspirations that you had before Islam, keep them in mind as long as they're halal.
Yeah, bro.
Still work towards them. That's what I would say.
Just on a side point.
Yeah.
First of all, supportidc.com.
Supportidc.com.
But one thing you mentioned about your favorite surah.
Yeah, all the wealthy listeners and viewers out there, supportidc.com.
Supportidc.com. One thing you mentioned about your favorite surah, Surah Ikhlas. So I'm going through a few things with my kids every night. We talk a little bit about Qur'ans and like some of the ayahs. So we talked about that today. Surah Ikhlas, just a tip for you all as well. The Prophet said that if you recite Qul Huwallahu Ahad, Surah Ikhlas 10 times, Allah will build for you a palace in Jannah. So very easy way to get a palace in Jannah is to recite Surah Ikhlas 10 times.
Yeah.
Just a quick tip for you all.
Very good.
That's my good deed of the day.
Yeah, man. We want them palaces, isn't it?
Yeah, man.
Yeah, does that make sense, bro? Yeah, good. So you need to have a good think about that now, inshallah. Yeah, so anything else you want to comment on, bro? Anything else, any final words that you'd like to share with us here before we wrap it up?
I would say, especially for the reverts like this, it's I think the most crucial thing is once you start learning how to read the Quran in Arabic, it's understanding the meaning. And one thing which I found very helpful is the word-to-word translations. And as you read through it and start reading through word to word, like eventually you start memorizing these words passively.
Good.
And then now Tawari becomes so much better.
Yeah, for sure.
And
I've heard so many reverts say this, bro. I've heard so many reverts go like they're in Salah and they're like, I see brothers around me who just crying away, and I don't know what they're doing. So like they've had this in their mind to go, I'm gonna learn the Quran. So for next year, I know what's being said. So brilliant. Good point.
SubhanAllah. Like even for like new Muslims who've been born Muslims, just start reading like word to word like Quran and start like your daily pages or however much you read, mashallah, and just like read it word by word. And eventually, after you go through the Quran a couple of times, like Allah starts pouring like into your heart. And that's something I found like it helped me so much. Because now I'm actually like I understand what's being recited. Because one of the biggest things which I saw was like when someone asked me, oh, you heard good beautiful ayah. It sounds beautiful, but yes, and like, what does that mean?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. Like that's kind of shame because that's the only reason why the Quran is so powerful. It's because of its meaning.
Yeah.
And that's the reason why it changes life. That's what changed my life.
Yes.
Because what it means and what it's given you.
Yeah.
And if you're supposed to remember Allah during Salah, then there's no better dhikr than the Quran.
Yes,
so,
absolutely. Yeah, I agree with you 100% on that. Jazakallah khair. Very wise words, bro. I appreciate that. May Allah bless you. We'll wrap it up there. Any other comments or questions, co-host?
No, that's it. Done.
Okay, good. Alhamdulillah. Let's wrap it up there then, inshallah. Jazakumullah khair, everybody. Isa, pleasure having you on the show tonight. Let's well, you're going to be in touch, inshallah. We're going to keep in touch. But alhamdulillah, may Allah bless you and may Allah guide your family and give you the best in this life and the next life.
Ameen.
Jazakumullah khairan. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
كل نفس ذائقة الموت.
Brothers and sisters, alhamdulillah, I'm still alive. But the reality is, كل نفس ذائقة الموت. Every single soul will taste of death. And what have we prepared for the hereafter? What have we prepared for the grave? Brothers and sisters, the work that IDC is doing will help you provide for your grave, for your akhirah, because they're calling loads and loads of people to the deen of Islam. They're looking after new Muslims, and they're doing that essential da'wah, which is an obligation upon every believer in the world, to make sure that they pass on the message of Islam. They're doing it on your behalf. All you have to do is give a donation. Give £100, seeking the face of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, 50. Whatever you can afford, as much or as little as you can afford for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And all of those things that the good people that accept Islam do will be on your mizan, and when you meet the angels of death, the angel of death in your grave, those good deeds will be there with you too. So seek the face of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, give for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and yourself and your grave and your akhirah, and you'll have sadaqah jariyah there when you meet Allah.